It's me again. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you all have an incredible year ahead of you. I just thought I'd make a quick list of upcoming movies I'm looking forward to seeing that I think you should see too. Whether it's one I think you should support financially or one that I just have faith in because of the people making them. So, without further ado, let's get into it. At number 1, we have Captain America Brave New World. In the unlikely case that you won't go see this movie, here's my attempt to get you to rethink that standpoint. The film stars Anthony Mackie, who is finally donning the mantle of Captain America after his dabble with it in the finale of his show, The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Anthony Mackie is one of those actors who could just steal the show when he's given good material to work with. He's super charismatic, but also has the range to pull off more dramatic roles. He's great in 8 Mile and in Pain and Gain, both movies that balance the charming and deeply layered acting chops that I know he possesses. Apart from that, the film also has Giancarlo Esposito and Harrison Ford leading as the antagonists, two exceptional actors in their respected careers. Giancarlo is known for Gus Fring from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and Harrison Ford for his work on films like Blade Runner, Indiana Jones, and Star Wars. The film is being marketed as a spy thriller similar to Captain America the Winter Soldier, easily the best Captain America movie, and an easy top 5 MCU movie in my opinion. I do have to mention, however, that there is a possibility for a subplot in this film that may touch on some real-world problems, and if you're sensitive to that, then maybe hold off on watching and get word from a friend or someone else who's planning to see if this is the right movie you want to support. In number 2, I have Sinners. This is the next film in Ryan Coogler's filmography, one that stars Michael B. Jordan in 2 separate roles. Michael B. Jordan is one of those actors working today who you just see in a movie and go, man, I really need some more Michael B. Jordan movies. He's incredibly talented and probably best known for playing Adonis Creed in the Rocky sequel trilogy Creed, a trilogy I adore. His chemistry with Coogler is palpable. His best work, in my opinion, all comes from Coogler-made films, whether that be Black Panther, Creed, or Fruitvale Station. More so than that, this film is set in the 1930s and is depicted as a horror thriller that focuses on 2 characters being confronted with a great evil when returning from their hometown after getting into some trouble. The tagline of this film is "Dance with the Devil and He'll Follow You Home," which definitely sparks an interest in my eye. And number 3, I have Mickey 17. Bong Joon-ho returns after incredible surprise with one of my favorite movies of 2019, Parasite. This time around, he's chosen Robert Pattinson for the lead role in an epic sci-fi thriller, which I couldn't be happier about. Pattinson is one of my favorite actors working today, working on films like Good Time, The Batman, Tenet, and Remember Me. I'm always excited to see him in new roles, and this one seems to be exploring his range as a performer. The film seems to be about cloning, with Pattinson tackling multiple versions of emotions such as horror, comedy, and action. The film also has Toni Collette, another fantastic actor who's worked on films like Hereditary and Knives Out, Stephen Ewan, who voices Invincible and played Glenn in The Walking Dead. There are a ton of great actors in this film, even Mark Ruffalo, who's known for playing the Hulk in the MCU, and Naomi Ackie, who I loved in Blink Twice. I'm always excited for new Robert Pattinson accents. I think he's incredibly underrated as an actor, and I'm glad he's taking on more roles to express all of his talents to people. At number 4, I have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, I gotta be honest, I unfortunately didn't get a chance to watch part 1 of this film in theaters, and I regret that to this day. The only thing I regret more than that is the fact that I still haven't seen Dead Reckoning Part 1, even today. So, why is this movie so highly anticipated for me? Simple. Fallout, Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, and Mission Impossible 3 are my favorite action films of all time. How many of your favorite movies ever all come from the same long-lasting franchise? Tom Cruise returns as Ethan Hunt to close off the story of the Reckoning chapter in the Mission Impossible era. I purposefully avoided watching the trailer for this movie, which is why I'm using Fallout trailer footage for this video, and I think I'm going to wait until I get closer to the release date of Final Reckoning to watch Dead Reckoning, just to fully immerse myself in the story and hopefully appreciate it more than if I were to watch them separate. Basically, I'm planning on making the entire month of May Mission Impossible month. Christopher McQuarrie returns to direct Dead Reckoning. He also directed Fallout. Fallout is my favorite in the franchise, so I know this film is in good hands when it comes to action, spectacle, and tension. The supporting cast contains Simon Pegg and Vic Grimes, who return from previous Mission Impossible movies, as well as Haley Atwell and Vanessa Kirby. I have no doubt this movie is gonna kick ass, and I'm gonna make sure to be in the theater this time to see it. At number 5, I have F1. Now, Top Gun Maverick was one of my biggest surprises in film history. I thought it was going to be another just attempt to cash grab on an old and forgotten IP, but I was blown away by the quality and the action set pieces. The epitome of a summer blockbuster, and now Joseph Kosinski returns to directing and giving us another high-voltage blockbuster in F1, this time starring Brad Pitt. If Maverick was any indication of what this guy can do with high-speed, powerful, and dangerous vehicles, I think it's safe to say F1 is in good hands. The film, end quote, follows a Formula One driver who comes out of retirement to mentor and team with a younger driver. Not exactly the most groundbreaking or innovative idea on paper, but a film is more about the execution of an idea, and some of the greatest stories ever told, when stripped down to a single phrase synopsis, can sound quite unimaginative. But I put the imagination forefront, combined with an incredible actor and incredible director, and I think you're sure to get a fantastic experience. I also haven't seen the trailer for this film either, apart from what I'm stitching together in this video, which is completely out of context. All I do know is that Javier Bardem from No Country of Old Men and Dune has a role to play in this film, which only solidifies my choice in wanting to see this in theaters. Oh yeah, and Kelly Corden is in this too, who I know from Better Call Saul. She's great and happens to be in some of my favorite episodes in the series, so I'm excited for that too. At number 6, I have Superman. Now, I've already made a video on this channel about why I think this movie's gonna be good, so make sure to check that out in the link in the description or at the top right of the screen. Basically, I have faith in James Gunn to deliver a heartfelt and action-packed comic book film, because he's proven himself capable with the Guardians trilogy, The Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker. He's excellent at managing both serious drama and slapstick comedy. I think it's fair to give the guy a shot at building something that could possibly be very special for us DC fans, and I have nothing but faith in him, like I said before. At number 7, I have The Bride, which we know nothing about other than Maggie Gyllenhaal is directing it, and it's based on the story of the Bride of Frankenstein, which is interesting enough in its own, but made even more interesting when you find out Christian Bale is in the lead as Frankenstein's monster. I love Christian Bale. I think he's one of the greatest actors of all time, having worked on films like The Dark Knight, The Prestige, Ford v Ferrari, Vice, The Fighter, American Psycho, and The Machinist. It also stars Jake Gyllenhaal, who is also a favorite actor of mine because of movies like Prisoner and Nightcrawler, Donnie Darko, Brothers, Life, Southpaw, Source Code, all excellent movies, all excellent performances from Jake Gyllenhaal. He too is one of those actors that you just see and go, I need more movies with him. Jessie Buckley is also in this, who worked with Maggie on her previous film The Lost Daughter, as well as Peter Skarsgård. So yeah, sold. At number 8, I have The Gorge, and I gotta be honest, I don't really know much about this movie other than Anya Taylor-Joy is in it and Miles Teller, who are both starring in some kind of sci-fi war movie. I'm interested because Scott Derrickson is directing, who I know from The Black Phone and Doctor Strange. I enjoyed both those movies and I really like this cast, so I'm just excited to watch a potential action thriller that kind of reminisces a vibe of like a serious Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Sigourney Weaver's also in it, which is a plus in my books. The only critique that I have for this film is that a lot of the backdrops look like green screen. I hope it's not that apparent in the theater, but it's kind of giving me Black Widow vibes. All in all, I think people need to see a movie like this every now and then, one that can lighten the need and fill the blanks between the next blockbuster, spectacular, or modern masterpiece. Not every movie needs to be a 10 on 10, and sometimes you just gotta go and support what you think you might enjoy, and this looks like fun. At number 9, I have 28 Years Later. Now, I've seen the original when I was in high school, and it was a really enjoyable and bleak, tension-riddled zombie apocalypse movie. It had a low-budget charm and a hell of a compelling story, and it went on to inspire my favorite video game of all time, The Last of Us. I've never seen the second film 28 Weeks Later, but I've heard that it's just as great as the first. It's been recommended to me before, and it's been on my list of movies I need to watch. And now that we're getting a third entry in the franchise, 28 Years Later, All the rave being thrown across the internet has got me excited and hyped to see it. I've already planned on rewatching the first and seeing the second, and it's nice to have the third right around the corner waiting for us this summer. Director Danny Boyle is returning from the first, which is always a good sign, and this one stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I'm very excited to see tackle this kind of role. And finally, at number 10, we have Avatar Fire and Ash. My biggest hope for this film is that it doesn't get delayed because of all the VFX and CGI required to make a film like this. While not the biggest fan of the first film, I thoroughly enjoyed Way of Water much more than I expected to. I think if there's any movie to see this year and have to experience in the theaters, it's this one. The Way of Water blew me away visually on IMAX, and I have no doubt this one will too when it releases in December. James Cameron is returning again, having worked on the previous Avatar, this one, and God knows how many more after, back to back. I'm very excited to be thrown back into this world again, and I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen. My honorable mentions are Ballerina, which I might see for intense action choreography that you expect from the John Wick franchise, Jurassic World Rebirth, which I pray is worth my time and money after being disappointed with the last two, Fantastic Four First Steps, which I hope stays true to being an Elseworlds title, although I'm sure it'll result in an MCU crossover, Nobody 2, the sequel to a John Wick knockoff semi-parody that ended up being a pretty fun watch. Tron Ares, a movie I expect to look great and hope elevates the original in terms of the story. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, mainly for the lore and Josh Hutcherson. And finally, Zootopia 2, the sequel to one of Disney's better animated movies in recent history. Well, that's my list. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all consider watching these movies and supporting them in theaters. And I'll see you in the next video.